Hello, hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins. In the last episode, we completed the Darkspawn Chronicles, and I mentioned that before I start Awakening, I wanted to go through and do all the other origin stories that this game has to offer. And we are starting with the castless dwarf, Nephri Brosca. Nephri named after nephrite, the mineral. I love her. I love how she looks. I think she is so beautiful. Also, I'm really proud of how she came out. I mentioned this in the first part of my actual Dragon Age Origins Let's Play, but I created all of my Warden's heads in the Dragon Age toolset, and then I imported the head morphs into the game just so that I could very easily replay as the same characters, that sort of thing. And Nephri didn't change at all. Normally there is some sort of maybe the nose shape changes or the cheekbones, something like that. But Nephri came out perfectly. She remained pretty stable throughout the transition, and I love her. I love her so much. You're going to be hearing me say that quite a bit. For her actual appearance, I was really inspired by a photography series. I'm going to call it a photography series. A series of photos that I saw by a London-based photographer, Michelle Marshall, and they're called the MC1R series. And basically it's a series of photos of people of Afro-Caribbean descent who all carry the MC1R gene, which is the gene for red hair. And I thought, we never see Brosca's father, so he could have been a person of colour. So I decided to make Nephri mixed race, and I love her. I absolutely love her. Okay, she does have a backstory, much like Artin. If you're really not too interested in that, then a timestamp should be popping up down here, and that will tell you when to skip ahead to. But for those of you who are interested... Oh, also, Nephri is 17. Just thought I'd mention that. Okay, onto her backstory. Nephri was born in Dusttown, in a dirty back alley specifically. Her father and half-sister helped with the delivery, so Nephri had a much better start than most of the castless. Her parents constantly argued, but they were deeply in love, and her half-sister Rica doted on her. Nephri doesn't actually remember her father though. He left for the surface when she was 3. Nephri can't rightly say why he left his family behind, but her mother Carla always blamed her youngest daughter for it. Carla started drinking soon after her lover left. It was all Nephri's fault. If she hadn't been born, then he never would have gone. And she looked so much like him too. She had to be punished. Rica tried to put herself between Carla and Nephri as often as she could, but she had a job sweeping the streets and couldn't be home all the time. Rica saw something good in her little sister, something she didn't want their mother's beatings to destroy. Nephri wasn't a dumb kid. She learned her mother would only chase her so far. You're only in trouble if you get caught was a lesson that Nephri learned well. When Nephri was 7, she began running with a small gang of her fellow street urchins. They knew the best places to beg and would sometimes work together to steal from market stalls. Rica was disappointed. This wasn't the kind of life she wanted for her little sister. Nephri could do better, be better. Rica was even more concerned when she discovered that this gang had some minor ties to the Carta, but Nephri wouldn't be told that her new friends were bad news. Nephri was with the gang for a few years, until a rather unfortunate incident with one of the other children. Nephri was 13, and the group were divvying up the spoils for that day. As each child pulled out their earnings, one of the bigger boys realised that someone had given him a silver. He demanded that he keep it. He was the one who begged for it after all. The other children backed down, but Nephri didn't. With her share of that silver, she could feed her family for a week. They scuffled. The boy was bigger and stronger, but Nephri was quick and smart enough to pick up a rock. Nephri ran from the scene, but she really didn't need to. No one cared about the death of some orphan boy. As soon as Rica heard about the fight, she hoped that it would scare her little sister onto a better path, but if anything it had the opposite effect. Nephri was proud. She had fought for her family and hadn't flinched. It made her bolder, though none of the other urchins would have anything to do with her. It was around this time that Carla was approached about pimping out Rica to the Carta as a noble hunter. She was a pretty girl, and she could turn a tidy sum with a bit of coaching. Carla readily agreed, and the family were placed in a small lodging in a quiet corner of Dusttown. Things were looking up for the Broscas. And then Carla thought, she didn't just have the one daughter. Yeah, Nephri was a little young and she wasn't as pretty as Rica, but the nobles have always been desperate for kids, and there would be some houses who would overlook her age and appearance. Rica was horrified when she discovered her mother's plan. She would not have her little sister go down the road she'd had to. She begged her mother to reconsider, and when that didn't work, she threatened to leave Carla and take Nephri to the surface. Carla relented, but insisted that Nephri needed to help provide for the family. So, Rica suggested that Nephri join the Carta as an enforcer. As much as Rica hated to admit it, killing that boy had stopped Nephri from having to pay her debts with what was between her legs. Nephri did fairly well in the Carta. She did as she was told and didn't ask questions. Although Barat took a disliking to her, so she never really progressed in the organisation. But she was earning steady money, and that was something. Nefri's current objective is to keep her head down and survive. While Nephri couldn't care less about Carla, she does care deeply about Rica. She would do anything to keep her safe. Anything. And that is Nefri's backstory. There we go. Now then, for points, I'm thinking... There we go, that looks about right. And I'm obviously going to grab coercion. No, actually, no, wait. Better grab that. Combat training. Picking locks. And let's take a sweep. Oh, no, I want to be playing on normal. There we go.
Deep beneath the Frostback Mountains sits Orzammar, largest and proudest of the two remaining Dwarven cities. Once the seat of an underground empire, Orzammar now stands alone, cut off from the world by the Darkspawn, still clinging to the memory of its former glory. Below the vast statues and gilded halls where the noble families play at politics, the lower castes live in their shadows, scurrying to serve like their ancestors before them. Below that is you. You are casteless, the dirty secret staining Orzammar's perfect society, forced, along with your sister, to sell your services to the crime lord Barat. To the rest of Orzammar, you are proof that the casteless deserve their fate. But you know you do what you have to, the same as everyone, just to survive.
I can't keep gambling on you forever, Precious. You've got a sweet look, something to light a man on fire. But you gotta make it count.
Please, Barat. I don't want to do this in front of my sister.
Why not? She knows the slope of the land, don't you, girl?
He's right. Whatever it takes to get out of this cesspool. Didn't I tell you not to talk that way to my sister? We owe you everything, Barat. We won't let you down. Don't worry, she'll find a man or she'll answer to me. Okay. Okie doke, what am I thinking? Nephri is very... When she's in front of Barat, she is very business. She does not want to say no to this man. She's gonna nod her head at me. Yes, sir, of course, sir. 3 bags full, sir. She's gonna do whatever the fuck he says. So, not number 2. She's definitely... Well, here's the thing. She wouldn't be thinking number 2 because she would never tell him, don't talk about that way. You know, about Rica. Don't be doing that. She wouldn't have said that, but she'd be thinking, oh god, I hate the way he talks about my sister. I hate it, but there's nothing really that I can do about it. And not number 4. Because Nephri loves her sister. Nephri loves Rica. And so I don't think she'd have the heart to be that, oh, she'll answer to me. I think I'm going to go for number 1. Okay, what kind of voice do I want to give Nephri? I only have the one American accent. Okay, so Arden speaks somewhat deep. That's how I've always pictured Arden's voice. Kind of deep. Nephri, I imagine, is a couple of octaves higher. I don't know music. Is this an octave? Whatever. He's right. Whatever it takes to get out of this cesspool.
Listen to the kid. She knows the deal you made. She keeps her head down and does whatever jobs I don't want to dirty my fists with. In return, I put out coins so you can doll yourself up and get a belly full of some nobleman's brat. Then you both go free, and I get to join the family and be called my lord for the rest of the little prince's life.
So what are you doing here? And her son'll call you uncle and come visit on name days. We've kept our part of the deal. Not number 2. Nephri's blood is boiling. She hates how he's talking to her, but again, she kind of feels helpless. She kind of feels like, what can I do? If I speak up to him, he'll cut my throat, and then what'll happen to Rica? So what are you doing here?
Checking on my investments. And right now, they don't bear much gold. I'm giving you another week, Precious. If you haven't found a patron, you're back to sweeping streets.
But I have. I've met someone. That is, I didn't want to promise, but he seemed interested.
So get off her back and tell me my job for today. See, she's found someone. I told you we'd deliver. Watch yourself, Barat. We may not need you pretty soon. See, she's found someone. I told you we'd deliver.
It's nothing definite, but he said he wanted to see me again.
Excuse me if I don't start knitting booties. Until I do, you're the one who's going to keep paying her debts with your service to the Carta.
What do you need me to do? You have some more errands for me to run? You want me to beat someone up for you? What do you need me to do?
Your buddy Lesky's waiting outside. He knows what I'll need from you today. Don't even think about bungling this job. Your whole family's on loose sand with me right now. And I know you don't have anywhere else to turn.
I'm sorry you had to see that.
Barat expects too much from you. You don't have to hide anything from me, Rica. I've seen it before and I'll see it again. I can't stand the way he treats us. Ooh. Not number 3. Because Nephri knows that Rica doesn't want Nephri to see this. Rica wants to kind of keep this part of her life very firmly outside of the family home. And I think Rica feels ashamed, embarrassed, disgusted. And Nephri can see that. Nephri isn't stupid. She's not blind. And so Rica is coming at this from quite a vulnerable position. Like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to see that. And I don't think Nephri would prey on that vulnerability. So not number 3. I'm very tempted by number 2, actually. You don't have to hide anything from me, Rica. Yeah, I think that Rica hides a lot of her life just because she doesn't want her little sister to be involved, but Nephri's seen a lot of shit. And so I think she's not coming at this from like oh, you really don't have to hide this, more from like a gently, like, you don't need to feel bad about it. You don't have to hide anything from me, Rica.
I've always tried, though. At least I've kept you from buying your future with what's between your legs. I should have told you. Barat's been warning me ever since 2 of his other girls found patrons at Lord Harrowmont's reception. They've been getting gifts already. Lord Rooston gave Elsie a surface silk gown and she's not even pregnant. Barat's getting impatient.
Barat expects too much from you. Isn't the work I do for Barat enough? I just wish we didn't have to kiss up to that cave tick. I want you to stop working for him. Nephri does want Rica to stop working for him, but that's impossible. They need the money. Without Barat's money, they'd be starving in the street, so they have to keep doing this. Barat expects too much from you.
You know how desperate the nobles are for more children. They can barely field enough soldiers to hold the walls against the Darkspawn. If I could give one of them a son, the whole house would celebrate. And we'd all be raised up to noble caste to join the family. It's what Barat's betting on. That's why he paid for my clothes, my voice lessons. He wants to share the reward.
So I'd just like to say, Rica misspeaks there. When she says we'd all be raised up to noble caste, they wouldn't. The codex entries say at least that her son would be noble caste because you take the caste from your same-sex parent. So if she made a son with a noble, the kid would be noble, and all of the mother's relatives would join him living in whatever house the noble was from, but they wouldn't actually become noble caste. Rica would become a concubine of house whatever, but she would still be casteless. She'd just be a prestigious casteless, as would the rest of the family. I need to get going before Barat comes back. Goodbye. Did you say there was a noble who was interested? I just wish we didn't have to kiss up to that cave tick. Isn't the work I do for Barat enough? It's not fair that Barat gets to push us around. Did you say there was a noble who was interested?
Yes. That is, I hope. He certainly seems charming. He treats me like a real lady, not just someone to tumble and forget.
I need to get going before Barat comes back. Goodbye. Who is he? Ew, I don't want to think about my sister doing that. No, let's not be childish. Who is he?
I don't want to say, in case I'm wrong. It just seems too mad to think of one of the most important men in Orzammar with someone like me. Anyway, time is rusting and I need to get dressed. These fashions will be the death of me. 100 buttons on each sleeve. And Lesky's probably already outside waiting for you.
He probably is. You're right, goodbye. Yeah, these are repeating. Number 4 is new, though. I don't know why I can't join the army and fight the Darkspawn. Ooh. I think that is something Nephri would have thought about doing. Not because she necessarily wants to protect Orzammar, but then she'd be earning a soldier's salary that she could be sending home. I don't know why I can't just join the army and fight Darkspawn.
It's sheer folly. One more way the nobles protect their status. They say casteless soldiers are more danger to each other than to Darkspawn. That it's an insult to the smith to let us touch a fine-made weapon. Truly, they just don't wish to insult the warrior caste by showing that given the same opportunities, we could lead an army just as well.
But haven't the Darkspawn almost overrun the current troops? They know we'd turn our weapons on them if we had any. They'd rather us all be killed than admit they were wrong. Ooh. But haven't the Darkspawn almost overrun the current troops?
Every year, more of the beasts come up from the deep roads. I've heard they've even been harrying the surface.
Is anyone going to do anything about it? The Darkspawn are not likely to touch us here. So, Nephri has no love of Orzammar. If Orzammar burned, I don't think she'd really care as long as she wasn't in the fire. She and her family were, like, outside watching it burn. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, the Darkspawn are probably gonna go after... They'd rampage through the commons first. But they would get here eventually. I don't think Nephri is that short-sighted to be like, yeah, let the Darkspawn at the nobles. Let's let them into Orzammar. Oh shit, they're on my doorstep. How did this happen? Is anyone doing anything about it?
Aye. They would even turn to humans for aid before us, it seems. There's been talk of an alliance against the Darkspawn. Even that the Grey Wardens have stepped up. But we don't have time for this now. Lesky must be waiting, and Barat won't like it if I'm late for my appointment.
You're right, goodbye. It's not fair that Barat gets to push us around. It isn't fair, but life in Dusttown isn't fair. So Nephri wouldn't ask that. Basically, what number 2 goes into, It basically just gives some context for Barat. Basically, he's from the surface, and he's returned to Orzammar, and he's really wealthy, but wealth can't buy you caste. So that's why he's kind of pimping out all these casteless girls, so that hopefully one of them will have a son, and then he can piggyback off of that by saying, oh, well, I'm actually her cousin. I'm this girl's cousin. Totally, absolutely ignore the fact that we don't look anything alike. And that's how he'll get some sort of caste. You're right. Goodbye.
Stay out of trouble. I'll see you tonight.
Of course, Rica. Of course. Now then, let's just move all this around. You live there, and you live there. Fabulous. Whoop. Oh, we've got codex entries. We have codex entries to read and a chest. Excuse me? Give me the thing. Thank you. Okie doke, and we have stuff in our inventory. Let's see, just use them. And t'other one. There we go. I'm gonna try and be quick about this. There we go, and I'm gonna pick up coercion immediately. And the codex entries. Yes, I will be reading these codex entries again. I'm sorry, I love them. What can I say? The casteless. The caste system in Orzammar includes many groups of privilege. The nobility and the warriors above all others. But to a lesser degree, the merchants and the smiths and the miners. Tradition establishes a clear hierarchy. But as in many cultures with an upper class, there is also a clear underclass. These unfortunates, the so-called casteless, are believed to be descendants of criminals and other undesirables. They have been looked down upon since Orzammar's foundation. They have taken up residence in a place called Dust Town, a crumbling ruin on the fringe of Orzammar's common areas. Orzammar society considers these casteless lower than even the servant class. Indeed, the casteless are not allowed to become servants, as it is too honourable a position. They are seen as little better than animals, their faces branded at birth to mark them as the bastard children of the kingdom. Their home district, little more than a slum, is a haven for crime, organised and otherwise. Orzammar's guards seemingly cannot be bothered to patrol its streets. The best that most casteless dwarfs can hope for is a life at the whim of a local crime lord, ended abruptly by violence or an overabundance of toxic lichen ale. Even so, there is some hope for the casteless, a dangling rope that offers a way up into greater Orzammar society. Since a dwarf's caste is determined by the parent of the same sex, the male child of a nobleman is part of that noble's house and caste. Strangely, it is acceptable for casteless women to train in the arts of courtly romance to woo nobles and warriors. They are known as noble hunters. Any male born from such union is considered a joyous event, considering the low rate of dwarven fertility. The mother and entire family are then taken in by the father's house, although they retain their caste. Yep, what did I say? They're still casteless. They now just live in a fancy house. The dwarves we know on the surface are also considered casteless once they leave Orzammar, although this is only relevant to those who return, if they are allowed to return at all. Dwarves who leave for the surface, the sun-touched as they are called behind their backs, lose their connection to the stone and the favour of the ancestors, and thus are worthy of little more than pity, for upon dying, they are said to be lost to the stone forever. Put that way, it seems a sad existence indeed. From Stone Halls of the Dwarves by Brother Genitivi, Chantry Scholar. There we go. Anything else? Notes. Oh, just some credits. Bam, bam. There we go. Fabulous. Now then. Hello, Mother.
Who's that? Why are you bothering me? Rica?
No, Mother, it's Nephri, your daughter. It's the guardsman. You're under arrest for drunkenness. It's the King of Orzammar. I heard you were single. Never mind. Sleep it off. Again. Nephri, as much as Nephri loves her sister, she completely hates her mother. Loathes her entirely. If If Nephri could persuade Rica to leave Carla behind and flee to the surface, she would, but Rica won't leave their mother behind, so Nefri's just like, well, I guess I've got to take care of this wench. I don't think she'd joke about with her mother. She's rolling her eyes just like, dear God, she's so drunk she can't even recognize me. Jesus. No, mother. It's Nephri, your daughter.
Don't you talk to me like I'm an idiot. You think I don't know my own kid? What are you doing here anyway? Rica said you were finally making something useful of yourself.
If by useful you mean cracking skulls for a smuggler, doesn't it bother you that Rica has to whore herself out? You have to stop this, mother. You're killing yourself. Never mind. Sleep it off again. Nephri isn't happy that she has to work for Berat, but she's much more concerned for Rica. Rica has consistently been there, helping her out, trying to do her best by Nephri. And so Nefri's kind of thinking is that, oh, if I could pick up more work, if I could earn more money, then Rica wouldn't have to just lay on her back for a living. And that really hurts Nephri, knowing what Rica has to do for a job. That really hurts Nephri. And the fact that Carla just doesn't seem to give a shit, it infuriates her. Doesn't it bother you that Rica has to whore herself out?
She's got the body. Might as well use it before a couple of kids twist it out of shape.
I can't believe you. I'm getting Rica out of here just to spite you. Never mind. Sleep it off again. So, it's between 1 and 2, because I want to continue this conversation. Nephri dreams of getting Rica out. But she acknowledges that those are just dreams. Things like that don't happen to people like her. And so I think Nephri sees her life as just this one long slog until she drops down dead. So, it's... Number 2 is good, but Nephri acknowledges that that's a pretty dream. It's a fantasy, nothing more. I could never even achieve that if, no matter how hard I tried. I can't believe you.
You're lucky Rica stuck up for you, because I'd have put you out there with her. You were born with 1 coin to barter, and it's between your legs.
You're wrong. I'm going to make something of my life. Excuse me, you have to stop this, mother. You're killing yourself. I'm leaving now. You can drown in that thing for all I care. I've got work to do. Try to dry out by the time I get home. Again, number 1 is good, but Nephri doesn't believe that. And I don't... Oh. Does Nephri care about Carla enough to be like, you're killing yourself, please stop? She hates her mother. She absolutely despises her. But Rica cares about Carla. And I think Carla's death would hit Rica very hard. You have to stop this, mother. You're killing yourself.
You tell me. Just what do I got that's worth living for?
What about me? What about Rica? Oh, there's no talking to you when you get like this. Never mind, sleep it off again. What about me? What about Rica?
I know you both hate me. I know what I done to you. But it was for your own good. The world's a cruel place. You had to learn that. You think you'd be where you are now if I'd let you hide from a few slaps? Everything you are, I made you.
You think that's something to be proud of? I stopped listening to you when I was 6. I'm leaving now. You can drown in that thing for all I care. I've got work to do. Try to dry out by the time I get home. Do you think that's something to be proud of?
I tried my best. They treat us like dust, tell us we're cursed. How else are we supposed to live? We got nothing. There's no way out for any of us.
You're wrong. I'm going to make something of my life. I'm leaving now. You can drown in that thing for all I care. I've got work to do. Try to dry out by the time I get home. Yeah. There's no talking to Carla when she gets like this. I've got work to do. Try to dry out by the time I get home.
Oh, I shouldn't keep doing this to you. I know I shouldn't. It's just so hard. Hey, where's she going? Why is she leaving? Don't leave me!
Never mind, Mother. Why don't you just lie down? That's good.
Oh dear, she's getting worse, isn't she, Rica?
What is it? I'm kind of in a hurry.
Mother seems worse today, yeah. More questions. Have you heard anything else about the Darkspawn recently? Have you had much competition lately in attracting nobles? What else should I know about Barat? Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Goodbye. We've already spoken to her about the Darkspawn. I think anything that Rica knows about Barat, Nephri knows, and again, Nephri probably already knows everything about the noble hunters and what's going on with them. The only real question I have any interest in is the one about Carla. Mother seems worse today.
She comes and goes. I think the moss wine's finally rotted her brains.
Does she ever remember... do you ever remember her being different? Her brain's been pickled my whole life. Watch out for her. I don't want her to hurt herself. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Goodbye. Do you ever remember her being different?
When your father was still here. You were a baby, and I remember they used to talk about what it would be like if they could bind a marriage. Mother used to smile then. She used to wear a necklace he made her of polished slate.
That's interesting that he managed to make her a necklace of polished slate, because that implies some skill. That he had some craftsmanship skill. So potentially, Nephri's father could have been smith cast, and his family chucked him out, made him castless, because you're dating a castless woman with a kid? Like, what are you thinking? Actually, no, what am I saying? Nephri's a chick, so he could have been smith cast. She'd still be castless because of her mother. Or maybe he was just castless that had somehow been around a smith forge. Maybe a nice smith had, like, given him, like, some extra work, something like that. I don't know. Why did he leave? She never talks about it. And now she sleeps every night in a pool of her own vomit. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Goodbye. Why did he leave? She never talks about it.
I think he went to the surface. I remember them fighting about it. He wanted to try his luck among the humans. She didn't want to risk it. The next day, he moved out, and the wine moved in. But this is too bleak to talk about now. Can't you think of anything else?
Actually, I should get going.
Off with you then. Leski's probably waiting outside.
Yeah, we've spent enough time faffing about in here.
About sodding time. I was starting to think I'd have to bust in and get an eyeful of that spicy sister of yours. Growl.
Just tell me what we're doing. I want to get this over with. Haven't I told you never to talk about my sister that way? Leski, how's it shaping? So what does Barat have for us? Nephri absolutely would have told Leski, don't you be talking about my sister that way. Haven't I told you never to talk about my sister that way?
You're just jealous because you want the majesty of Leski for yourself, you shameless hussy. What do you say?
Then I might have to feed you your spleen. Just tell me why Barat sent you. When I saw your majesty, the scepter was a little soft. You like Rica because she can't break you with one hand. Ooh. Number 4 calls to me. You like Rica because she can't break you with one hand.
That does have its appeal. But as much as I'd love to keep chatting, we better get down to business.
Right, what's the story? Aw, I was hoping our mission was me making fun of you. Right, what's the story?
Boss says we're out for a search and discipline. One of his smugglers is holding out on him. Name's Oskias, some surfacer. Barat got word that he's been selling shipments topside that never make it to Barat's ears down here. He wants us to find the rotter and see what goods he's holding back.
Any idea where this Ascaius is? What sort of goods are we trying to find? Is that all? He's stealing from Barat? I like him already. As I mentioned, Nephri just wants to do her job. She doesn't like Barat, but she doesn't have any illusions of grandeur. Like, she doesn't imagine, I don't know, fighting her way through the Carta hideout and murdering him violently. She doesn't dream of that. Nephri knows her place. What sort of goods are we trying to find?
You know, gold, lyrium, spices. Anything that Barat might cut someone's head off to get.
Let's show this duster what Barat does to cheaters. Any idea where this Ascaius is? What do we do with him if he's been holding out on Barat? Nephri would know that. I don't think it's right to just kill this guy. Nephri doesn't have an opinion on killing him. If Barat points her in a direction and says, kill, she does as she's told. Fine, but at least let's find out what he's done. Any idea where this Ascaius is?
All he told me is find him. Duster's got some family from the merchant caste. He's probably staying near their quarters.
Okie doke. Let's show this duster what Barat does to cheaters.
Poetry to my ears, Selraka.
Ah, Lesky. It's good to see you again, my friend. Alrighty then, and with that, I am just about out of time for this episode. In the next one, we'll track this Ascaius down. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.